Do most people have one relationship with themselves? I think we have several, and we're not always sure which one we're listening to. There's the version of you that's relentless, that replays conversations at 2 a.m., that notices every gap between who you said you'd be and who you actually are. That keeps score in a ledger nobody else can see. That can take a moment you handled badly 5 years ago and make it feel like it happened this morning. And then there's the other version, the one that's remarkably understanding, that knows exactly why things went the way they did, that can produce a reason for almost anything: the mood, the circumstance, the pressure you were under, the one that, when you really don't want to look at something, makes sure you don't have to, that doesn't lie to you exactly, but knows which questions not to ask. Most of us assume one of those is the problem, that we just need to find the right balance, be a little kinder or a little stricter, and we'll land somewhere healthy. But I don't think that's quite right. Because the issue usually isn't the intensity, it's the placement. We're not randomly lenient or randomly strict. We're lenient in the places where honesty would cost us something we're not ready to give up. And we're strict in the places where suffering feels safer than being seen. Think about that for a second. The person who tears themselves apart over productivity but never examines how they treat people when they're stressed, that's not discipline. That's a trade. They get to feel rigorous and self-aware without ever touching the thing that might actually matter. The self-criticism becomes a kind of performance, even if no one else is watching. Especially if no one else is watching. The person who is endlessly compassionate with themselves about their patterns and their past and their emotional wounds, but can't seem to follow through on the things they say they want. The self-awareness becomes a story. A very articulate story. One that explains everything and changes nothing. And the longer you've been telling it, the more it starts to feel like the truth, rather than a defense. We're drawn to the standards that confirm what we already believe about ourselves, and we avoid the ones that would require us to revise it. Strictness can masquerade as honesty, but a lot of the time it's just preemptive. If I punish myself before anyone else can, I control the narrative. The self-criticism becomes armor, and guilt, it turns out, can function as a substitute for change. You feel bad enough about something, and the feeling starts to count as doing something about it. You carry the weight of it publicly or privately, and the carrying starts to feel like penance, even when nothing actually shifts. Even when the same thing happens again next month, and you go through the whole cycle over. Leniency can masquerade as growth. I'm learning to accept myself. I'm not being so hard on myself anymore. But acceptance and avoidance can look identical from the inside. The question isn't whether you're being gentle with yourself, it's whether the gentleness is honest. Whether it's coming from a place of actually understanding yourself or from a place of not wanting to do the work of understanding. There's a version of self-compassion that opens things up, and there's a version that quietly closes them down. Most of us aren't one thing, we're a patchwork. Brutal in some places, blind in others. And the places we choose, or the places we've drifted into without choosing, those tell you something real about what we're protecting and what we're afraid to face. The pattern isn't random, it's a map, and if you're willing to look at it honestly, it'll show you exactly where you've decided certain things are off limits. The hard part is that both patterns feel like self-knowledge. The person destroying themselves over their failures feels like they're being honest. The person explaining their way out of accountability feels like they're being mature. From the inside, they can both feel like doing the work. That's what makes this difficult to see clearly in yourself. It's not that you're being obviously dishonest. It's that you've built something that feels reasonable, and you've been living inside it long enough that it just feels like you. So I've stopped asking whether I'm too hard or too easy on myself. That question has too many comfortable answers. The question I keep coming back to is this: which of my standards is actually protecting me?